Good morning. I know I don't look like Pastor Lynn. He's off doing a job and asked me to fill in for him. So we're going to talk about how it feels when the coach or somebody picks two leaders and says, we're going to pick teams. How does it feel to be picked last? I always hated it in school, in gym class, because I am not an athlete. I never was. I'm never going to be. I don't want to be. I don't care. I got cramps when I ran, so I walked. I didn't get good grades in gym. It just wasn't my thing. Computers, now that's a different story. But even though I knew I wasn't good and nobody probably wanted me on their team, I still didn't want to be picked last. So the preacher always says the Bible's got something to say about everything, and it kind of does. I have to admit. So today we're going to talk about Gideon. Gideon was a man in the Bible that God used in a mighty way. But he didn't think that he could be used in a mighty way. He was pretty pessimistic. That's a big word for you kids, but he doubted that God could use him in a big way. But God called Gideon a mighty warrior. And Gideon said, "Are you sure, God? Because my family is the least of all the families. And in my family, I'm the least in my family. So I don't really think I'm a mighty warrior. I don't think you need to use me." But God said, "I'm telling you, you're a mighty warrior and I'm going to use you. Here's what I want you to do." See, the people had not followed what God wanted them to do. They disobeyed. They were disobedient. So God allowed the enemy to take their crops and do things to them that sort of made life difficult. And God allowed it because they were disobedient. And God wanted to use Gideon to show them that they needed to be obedient. So what God told Gideon he wanted him to do was he was going to tear down the idols that they had built for Baal and build an altar for God. And Gideon, he was like, "Are you sure, God? I don't know. I'm the least, remember?" And God reminded him, "You know, Gideon, you are a mighty warrior. You can do this." And so at night, when no one would see, Gideon tore down the idols of Baal and built an altar for God and did exactly what God wanted him to do. And I'm reminded lots of times God uses people who they're not really the greatest people. I always thought, well, no one wants me for their team. I'm not great at baseball or basketball or volleyball or any of it. And then I hear God use Moses. Well, he couldn't talk right. And he told God, "But God, I can't talk right." And God said, "Well, we'll use Aaron, but you're the leader." And God used David. He was just a little boy. And he slew a giant because of God helping him. And God used all the disciples, and all they were just fishermen. And some of them weren't very good. But God turned their lives and used them because God can do anything. And here's just a little part of a song I want you to remember. God can do anything, anything, anything. God can do anything but fail. So when you are feeling like Gideon, the lowest of the lowest, the least of the least, you remember that God told Gideon he was a mighty warrior, and you can do it because if you rely on God, he'll help you, and you can be a mighty warrior just like Gideon. Have a good day.